Hello and welcome to Wrong End of the Stick podcast, episode 76 now. Episode 76, it's a bit of a kind of special episode, I suppose, a bit of a tribute episode, which we will get into in just a sec. So a relatively short one today, but it's me, Zach Eaton, Skipper Jonathan Nimmo. Welcome.
Yeah, I was going to say a bit of a somber one, but we're going to try and make it a celebratory one. But yes, it's going to be, we know there's cricket ongoing, literally as we speak. England are playing, which is normally what we would be very much getting fully into. But for certain players, I think world cricket needs to just stop and pay a little bit of tribute, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. So no doubt most of you listening will have heard the news that Shane Warne sadly passed away last week now, wasn't it? So we're just going to do a little bit of chat about Shane Warne and who he was and why everybody was so upset when he died and the impact that he had, because he had a massive impact on all of cricket, actually. And yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about that today, aren't we? And then, of course, to, keep it lighthearted, we're going to do our highbrow, lowbrow new game that we've not fully named yet, but Beamer, Yorker, highbrow, lowbrow, whatever we're going to call it. But yeah, we're going to do that at the end and wrap up from there. But yeah, shocking news last week and sad news. But yeah, Shane Warne, tell me what's your immediate thoughts and what are your memories, or is he a little bit pre your time?
I think, well, first off, my initial response, because I think you messaged me letting me know, and then I had a few people from work kind of Skype messaging me and saying, did you hear? And I think even those people that aren't into cricket, that paints enough of a picture of, how well known Shane Warne is. He, in terms of just not even just as a cricketer, but as a sportsman, in terms of his achievements, in terms of his attitude to the game. I don't think I would. I was taken back by it. I mean, the guy was 50, 52?
52, yeah. 52 is young, yeah.
And for someone that, still not just in kind of commentary, but endorsements and some of the kind of charitable stuff he does, still, has that energy, has that kind of just Australian, just sort of charm, if you will, about him and what he brings to the kind of game and what he has brought to the game. Like watching cricket on YouTube when we were getting into it and playing on the nets and thinking maybe spin's right for me, which invariably it wasn't. I can barely get it to go straight, let alone spin it. But you look back on the greatest cricketers or the greatest cricketing moments, and feel free, anybody that's listening, to do it now. And in fact, if you are listening, you probably already have done it. He's up there in so many different ways. I think just his achievements as a bowler, just as I say, doesn't just make him one of the all-time greatest cricketers, not just in Australia, but the world. But as a sportsman.
Yeah. And he really did transcend cricket in many, many ways, in a way that very few others have. I mean, his list of accolades, and we'll touch on some of them as we sort of go through, but they are long. I mean, he was cricketer of this, one of the cricketers of the century. In 2000, he was voted, and that's absolutely the case. And he changed cricket. He really genuinely changed it. So he's kind of came into sort of the Australia team in sort of 92. And this was an era when quick bowlers absolutely dominated. This was the era of the West Indies had been dominating bowling for 20 odd 30 years. And, teams were just not picking spin bowlers. And then up comes this, cocky, blonde, spiky head, 20-something. And the way he was, he absolutely changed the game with doing it, and the fact that he was a leg spinner, and leg spinners weren't really, and still, even beyond him, struggle, generally speaking, on a test game, because the way you have to bowl and your hand position and all the rest of it, it makes it really hard to bowl accurately, consistently.
Yeah. It's such a niche and technical skill to get it right, and the variations as well.
And that's it. And the exactly what I was going to come on to. And he could do it, but he could put it where he wanted to. But then the variations that he had meant once that ball landed, you had no idea where that ball was going to go. It was insane. And he was just such a compelling cricketer to watch. I mean, I was lucky enough to see him live once and watch him on TV an awful lot. He's just one of the few cricketers that when he was bowling, as an England fan, I was like, oh God, Warne's back. God, oof, this is terrifying. And every ball felt like a test, and it is. That's where Test cricket comes from, because he was going to absolutely challenge you every ball. You could not take your eyes off it, and that was one of so few cricketers that is the case. That when he comes onto ball, you were glued to it. You were glued to the screen.
Yeah, that's so true. And going back to your point about transcending cricket as well, just as like when you see in terms of the strength and focus and athleticism of professional players in cricket, and you think Shane Warne has all of that, but he has this X factor that makes it so intimidating. And like you say, people are glued to watching him kind of bowl. Mm-hmm. And I remember watching a video where he's in the IPL, they have these earpieces and the players can commentate on, what's going on around them and speak about it. And one of the most amazing things I kind of saw was he's just talking naturally, talking to the team around him, commentating at the same time. And he goes on to talk about how he's going to, get this guy out and what's going to happen. He just goes off and does it. And it's just that element of not just the athleticism, the technique, the amazing variations and skill with the ball, but that presence that he had, his ability to get into the minds of, his opponents. You felt like he was a matador on a stage, like.
Yeah, and he and I'm sure there's a quote that I'm likely to misquote here because I haven't got it written down in front of me. But he was saying that one of the arts of spin bowling is making batsmen believe something is going to happen, even if it isn't. And you're absolutely right. It's almost like that psychological warfare that he had down to an absolute art. And he brought a presence, he brought a dominance, and he genuinely brought fear to a lot of batsmen, because he came on and he would be chirping, he would be talking, he would be sledging and all the rest of it. But it was all to get into your head that you were thinking, oh, something's going to happen here. He'd have you on edge, he'd have you tense, he'd have you ready. All from that very first point. And I thought there was one bit that, again, I'm not sure if it's a direct quote, but he didn't mind if you hit him for 6. He didn't mind that. If he hated people getting singles off him, because he wanted that battle with that one batsman. He didn't want you getting off strike and then he has to reset that battle with somebody else. He wanted to be in your head because he was setting you up for the long game, and he'd play, a couple this way and then he'd reverse and then go over the other. It was all the psychological warfare for him, and that's where he was absolutely brilliant. He really was. So it's a massive loss of the game. But yeah, just the impact he's had is just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
Oh yeah. It's incredibly sad, and I think, what a legend. But I just think like, I just can't think of anybody, and even just spin players in the modern age, and even kind of back in the day, that had such a he had that slow run up. He had that just
barely ran up. He just sort of
barely ran up.
Like two steps, and then he was just in, and firing it down. Yeah,
and just going in all kinds of wacky kind of directions and stuff. And it's just massive loss of the game.
It is, and I think we can't. He did torment England. I think one of the tweets from ECV was something like, "It's England's greatest tormentor." But the stat that I think he took 195 wickets against England, and that's more than any single player has taken against any Test nation. But yeah, he absolutely, and that was in like 36 tests or something. He won like 7 Ashes against England. It's like basically when he was playing, and he's a big reason why in 2005 when England did win the Ashes, it felt like a huge achievement because we'd done it against Shane Warne. And yes, there were others in that team, and Ricky Ponting and all of the others. But a big part of that series was we managed to beat Warne, and that's he had that kind of a presence that it felt like a real achievement whenever you got any modicum of success against him. But yeah, just unbelievable. And I don't think we can have a tribute to Shane Warne without talking about the ball of the century. And he's kind of even repeated it. So he kind of had 2 balls of the century. But the first ball of the century, which really is going back before a lot of our times, I suspect the reason many people will have heard of it, because there's even a song dedicated to literally this ball, and how many other single deliveries of cricket has that been? I don't think any. But if you haven't heard it, go and listen to the Duckworth-Lewis Method's song "Jiggery Pokery," because it's all about this ball. But it was in the Ashes, and he stepped up to bowl against Mike Gatting at Old Trafford. And you do have to YouTube it or whatever to see it, because it's absolutely insane. Because it's basically, he bowls a ball that just slowly drifts out beyond the legs of Mike Gatting. It's drifting off to the right hand side. If that carries on going, it's going way down wide. But then just literally the turn he gets on it is absolutely crazy, and it jumps from probably 3 or 4 stumps outside of leg stump to come back and hit his off stump, and Mike Gatting's face is just like, he just stands there and has absolutely no idea what to do. And at the time, Mike Gatting was one of the best in the world at playing spin, and he just 20-something-year-old Shane Warne just absolutely bamboozled him, and it's just it was crazy to see. I still look back at the videos of that, and I'm like, I don't understand how that happened. And then he did a very similar thing to Andrew Strauss. It's like many years later, so it was not a fluke. He was absolutely knew what he was doing.
He did have a heightened awareness, and he was aware of the kind of pitch conditions and the kind of cracks that were going there to help that sort of hawk to get it to spin that way as well. And I mean, you're not going to see a ball like that from anywhere else. And if you do, it is a one in the century. It is a ball. It's 100% the ball of the century. Like, you don't see it. And, the batsman looking at, like, it's just crazy, because he actually goes out to see it off leg side as well. And it's just not there anymore. It's magic. If you haven't seen it, and the Duckworth-Lewis method as well. Both of those things are good. Absolutely.
So, and also the other bits that we need to acknowledge is he and there's debate about what balls he kind of invented, but there was definite things that he at least brought to the cricket awareness. The slider being the most,
slider.
And the flipper as well. Were both sort of attributed to him, and he certainly brought into popularity, even if he didn't fully invent them. Like the flippers, and I don't even know how it works, but you like flick the ball out of between your first and second fingers, and I was like, I don't even understand how my hand doesn't even do that without trying to launch it and get it accurately and all the rest of it. The sliders that's got all kinds of like
the googlies,
top
the
spinning, and it's just the variety he had was insane. You just had no idea what was coming at you. It wasn't just does it go left or does it go right, in layman's terms. It really was. There's so many different things that he was going to do. It's just unbelievable.
It's 3-dimensional spin like it's 4-dimensional spin bowling, in fact, because it is not just a case, like you say, it's not a case of left and right. It's a case, is it going to be hitting your toes, or is it going to be bouncing up to your waist as well? Like, and from which direction is it going to be coming in and away? Like, what a minefield as a batsman. Like, it's the worst person you want to be. I mean, it's giving me sweats thinking about it. Like, Thank God I'd never be at that level to, you know. Oh dear.
Yeah, but
okay.
it is sad, and he was involved. He was even involved in cricket. I mean, he was commentator. He was one of my favourite commentators. He was always good for a laugh on commentary. But he was involved in the hundreds. He was down to coach the London Spirit, wasn't he? And involved in like the draft and things. I remember watching the draft with him involved in picking which players and stuff. And again, there was those things. Even watching that draft, which I think we watched, which was probably a couple of years ago when that happened now. There was like psychology going on there, and he was like bigging up some of his picks that people were criticising. He was like, no, and there was just it never finished. It never ended with him. He continued to take that into whatever part of cricket that he was in and wherever he was involved in. It just it was always fun to watch, always entertaining, and just a brilliant person to be involved in the game, I have to say.
Mm.
And this is an Australian we're saying this about. It's very rare. I don't think we'd say this about any other Australians. So, and he was even in Neighbours, which is, another Australian institution. So there you go. Which, I mean, his acting he played himself, but his acting in it was, not the best. I'll be honest, bless him. He didn't look natural.
Saw clips. No, I saw clips of him in Neighbours, but the funniest one was the hair treatment advert that he was just like, I'm getting paid for this, it doesn't matter. But he was just like so unnatural, but it was just like pure class from Shane Warne.
I know, I love it. And I did say this separately. I was like, well, Shane Warne's died and Neighbours is ending. Is there any point in Australia continuing now? Does it just cease to exist as a country? I just don't see the point anymore. I think that's just, let's just abandon Australia as a concept because I think we're done now. So, yeah. Dear. But yeah, and I tell you what, if you could pick any cricketer past or future to have a night out with, I reckon Shane Warne would probably provide most entertainment and most fun of a night out.
100%. I mean, I think he's one of the ones that you'd want to have like at the bar that you're at, like probably be running up the tab and having a good time. Hopefully my card's not on behind the bar, but absolutely. It's just such a character, such a big character, and such a accomplished and talented sportsman, and influential, kind of charismatic, and just has a gravity about him as a person. So big up to Shane Warne.
Yeah, a sad loss, and thoughts with his family and things. But apparently he's going to have like a state funeral in Australia, so they're going to really push the ball out and do a lot of things there for him, which I think is absolutely fair. So a sad loss to cricket, but props to him. And if anybody does want to think about getting into spin bowling, go and have a look at some Shane Warne videos. Because actually, there's some really interesting stuff that he did with Sky Sports, like showing you his hand position and how he bowled and things. I mean, I think we've been in the nets attempting to do it. It's just absolutely insanely difficult what he did and what he made look so easy. Because he makes spin bowling look really easy, and you watch him and you think, oh, I could do that. And then you realise quite how hard it is when you give it a go. But yeah, fantastic player, and a sad loss to cricket.
Definitely. Right.
Shall we highbrow lowbrow?
Let's
Beam a Yorker or whatever it was.
Beam a Yorker. Yeah.
Beam a Yorker. Who wants to go first? Do you want me to go first this time, or do you want to go first?
You go. Yeah, I can't remember who went first last time, but
I have a feeling you went first last time. So,
okay, you go.
So I'll go for this one. Okay. So, which spin merchant became the first of his nation to take 100 Test wickets in 1997, dismissing New Zealand batsman Stephen Fleming?
I feel like this is a trap. Is it a trap? Can you just repeat the question?
I certainly can. Which spin merchant became the first of his nation to take 100 Test wickets in 1997, dismissing New Zealand batsman Stephen Fleming?
The first of his nation to take 100 Test match wickets.
Yep.
In 1997.
In 1997.
I was just going to say, I don't know. Shane Warne?
It is not Shane Warne. It absolutely was a trap. And
what's the lowbrow?
I totally knew you were going to.
You knew I was going to say it. Yeah, and I knew it was going to be a trap. To be honest, I knew I was walking into there. I was like, no, we couldn't have just
come here, walk straight in anyway. I like that. Yeah. That's why I like it. Okay, so the lowbrow, Yorker, Beamer, whatever it is, part of it. Which Sri Lankan spinner is the only bowler to have taken more wickets than the late, great Shane Warne?
Oh, it's the long name. Oh,
yes, I'll give you that. Half a point already.
Oh, wait, let me think. Wait, you said, he took an Australian. Wait, repeat the first question for me a second.
Right, the first question was, which spin merchant became the first of his nation to take 100 Test wickets in 1997, dismissing New Zealand batsman Stephen Fleming?
All right, that's why I've got myself confused. Okay, cool. And you said...
And the second question is, which Sri Lankan spinner is the only bowler to take more wickets than the late, great Shane Warne?
Oh, it's a really...
Test wickets, that is, sorry.
Oh, it's a really long name, and I don't know if it's the sling, it's the guy with the sling start. No, it's not. I'm an idiot. He's a legend. He's an absolute bloody legend. I can't think of the name. I'm such an idiot.
Matayam Muratharan.
Oh!
That's who it is.
Oh! I've recently rewatched a thing where he spin bowls a coin off a glass.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Oh, I knew who he was, I just didn't know the name. So annoying.
There you go. So it was sort of related, but not entirely related. So yeah, I absolutely did set a trap there. So apologies.
That was good. That was a good highbrow, lowbrow. I enjoyed that, actually.
All right. Come on then. Hit me with yours.
Okay. So, avifauna of the Dichello genus, residing in the...
I'm sorry. What? You're going to have to repeat that, because I don't understand any of these words so far. You've said 4 words, and I've not understood any of them.
Okay. Avifauna of the Dichello genus, and resides in the family of kingfishers, though seldom hunt in or associated with water.
I don't understand, 90% of the words you've just used.
Okay, so, okay. Flying animal in the same order of the crows. Relative to kingfishers, though seldom hunt in or associated with water.
I mean, I have no idea, obviously. However, there's only one bird that I know that is connected to cricket, and I'm presuming this comes back to cricket at some point, otherwise we're going to have a very different podcast on our hands. And so, the only bird that I can think of that is connected to cricket, and...
There's quite a few birds that are connected to cricket.
Yeah, there's only one that's springing to my mind, and that I think you could come up with a good lowbrow question, because that's the way my mind always works for this as well. I think it's a kookaburra.
He's got me. He's definitely got me. I was hoping I'd razzle-dazzle you with that Latin at the beginning.
You absolutely did. I hadn't got a clue what was going on. But...
You're right.
Go on, hit us with the lowbrow anyway.
The lowbrow question was world's most popular Australian-made cricket. Can't get any more lowbrow than that. That's like spamming. That is like a beamer.
Yes.
Even though it's a Yorker, because that's a lowbrow, but that is a beamer of a lowbrow.
Yeah, I don't understand that. We need to work that bit out, don't we? Which we never will do, I know. But we're never going to do, but still. Oh, dear. Well, thank you for that. That was good. It was good, though. It was good. You just went way too, I didn't understand any of the words the first time you read it out, so, yeah, you went way too highbrow for me, but... Well, thank you for listening, everybody. We hope you have enjoyed that. Join us again sometime in the next couple of weeks when we will have another more regular episode where we actually talk about the England test matches and stuff that are happening at the moment. If you would like to get in touch with us, tell us about your favourite Shane Warne memory. We are on Twitter at WrongEndPodcast. We're also on Instagram at WrongEndPodcast, or you can email us wrongendofthestick@hotmail.com.
Lovely stuff.
We will catch you very, very soon.
Thanks for listening all.
Bye.
Bye.